Beloved soul, there is a truth that has followed you since the moment your first breath stirred the veil between worlds. A truth wrapped in silence, guarded not out of fear, but out of reverence for the weight of your destiny. Your mother never told you what really happened the day you were born. On that day, the air did not merely shift, it trembled. The unseen realm leaned close. Shadows recoiled. Light gathered as though summoned by an ancient oath. The moment you arrived, something in the heavens stirred. A signal, a soundless proclamation. A new bearer of purpose has come. And though no one around her could explain it, your mother felt it. The warmth that flooded the room, the stillness that pressed against her heart, as though an unseen guard stood watch, not because you were fragile, but because you were significant. Even then, forces far older than the world recognized the spark within you. They knew the road ahead would not be gentle. They knew the world you would rise into would test your spirit, shake your foundations, drag your heart through trials meant to either refine you or break you. But you were not sent here to be broken. You were sent here to stand when others fall silent, to shine when others dim, to rise when the weight feels impossible, to carry a fire that darkness cannot extinguish. And now the hour draws near when the truth of your birth meets the calling of your life. Be ready. The challenges ahead are not punishments, they are awakenings. Every struggle you've endured, every betrayal you survived, every night you thought would swallow you whole, all of it was training for what comes next. You were not overlooked, you were prepared. Within you lives a courage older than your fears, a strength deeper than your wounds, a light fierce enough to cut through any shadow. So hear these words, stand tall, lift your gaze, let the fire within remember its name. You were born in the presence of power, and that power has never left your side. What comes next is not meant to destroy you, it is meant to reveal you. Be ready. Your destiny is approaching, and it has been waiting a very, very long time. The moment of your arrival was not merely a biological event or a quiet entry into the world. It was a disturbance in the very fabric of the unseen realm. Your birth signaled a destiny greater than anyone realized, and though this truth was never spoken to you, it has shaped your path since the moment you first opened your eyes. There is a reason your presence carries a depth that others sometimes sense but cannot name. There is a reason you have always felt a subtle weight inside you, a pull toward something larger, something that refuses to let you settle for smallness. The world did not simply gain another life when you were born. It gained a force, a soul marked for significance long before your first breath. Those present on the day of your birth felt something shift, though many could not explain it. Some would dismiss the sensation, others would forget it, but a few felt a moment of stillness, as if time itself paused to acknowledge you. That pause was not coincidence, it was recognition. There are arrivals that pass quietly, unnoticed even by the winds of change. And there are arrivals like yours, arrivals that cause the unseen to lean in and take note. Your mother may not have understood what she felt that day, but something in her spirit sensed it. She felt the air thicken, as though the room was being watched by something beyond her vision. She may have felt warmth radiate through her, unconnected to the physical world around her. Perhaps she felt sudden clarity, or an unexplainable peace, or a trembling of intuition that told her, this child is different. These impressions came not from her imagination, but from the presence that surrounded your entry into life. There are destinies so vast that they echo even before the child who carries them understands their name. You were not born into emptiness. You arrived with purpose, and that purpose rang out like a silent bell through both realms, seen and unseen. The kind of destiny you carry is not the gentle kind that rests quietly in the corner of a peaceful life. It is the blazing kind, the kind that must be forged through experience, tempered by trials, strengthened through resilience. This destiny demanded acknowledgement from the moment you appeared, and the world responded accordingly. Even as an infant, there were signs of your significance. Perhaps you were unusually calm or unusually alert. Perhaps you reacted strongly to certain people, sensing energies long before you had the words to describe them. Perhaps you carried a presence that made others feel protective of you, drawn to you, or even intimidated by you without understanding why. These were not random traits. They were the early ripples of the destiny that followed you. A soul like yours does not come into the world unnoticed. The forces of light recognized you instantly. They knew what you would grow to become, long before you had the opportunity to doubt yourself or question your worth. They knew the strength you would need. They knew the battles, internal and external, that would shape you. They knew the impact you would one day have on others, even when you could not yet imagine such a possibility. You were not sent here to drift. You were sent here to shift the balance in ways only you could. But when a soul with purpose is born, the world responds in two ways. The forces of light stand guard, knowing the child carries a flame meant to guide or awaken others, and the forces of shadow take notice as well, recognizing a potential threat to their influence. This is why your life has never been one of ease. This is why you have felt pressure, loneliness, or difficulty even at times when others seem to move effortlessly through life. You were not being punished, you were being noticed. Your destiny demanded strength, and strength cannot be forged in comfort. From childhood onward, you experienced challenges that shaped your resilience, pain that carved out your depth, and moments that forced you into wisdom far earlier than you may have wanted. These were not random hardships. They were the early fires meant to prepare you for the life you were born to live. You were always meant to rise above ordinary circumstances, and so you were given extraordinary lessons. Even if no one around you recognized your significance, the unseen realm did. Every gift you've been given, your intuition, your empathy, your courage, your insight, your ability to stand after being knocked down again and again, exist because you were born with a purpose greater than most people carry. You were crafted to influence, to awaken, to protect, to shift, or to illuminate. Your destiny is not passive, it is active. It demands movement, it demands growth, it demands endurance, and it demanded all of this from the moment of your birth. There is a reason you have always felt different, a reason you have experienced things others have not, a reason certain people were drawn to you while others grew uneasy around you, a reason you carry a gravity that cannot be explained by personality alone, a reason you feel pulled toward something bigger, even if you've never been able to describe what that something is. You were born marked, not marked for suffering but marked for significance. Even now, that early signal, sent out the day you arrived, continues to echo. It has shaped events around you, attracted certain people into your life, removed others, and prepared you slowly, quietly, deliberately for what you are becoming. Your gifts have grown. Your spirit has hardened and softened in the necessary places. Your sense of right and wrong has sharpened. Your intuition has strengthened. All of this was set in motion on the day you were born. The world may still not realize what you carry within you. Many around you may still underestimate your strength, your potential, or your importance. They do not see the truth, because the truth of your destiny is not revealed to everyone. But the moment of your birth made it clear to the forces that matter. You are not ordinary. You are not accidental. You are not insignificant. You are a soul whose arrival required attention. Your birth signaled something vast, something ancient, something purposeful. And though that truth was never spoken to you, it has always been the silent foundation of your life. Every difficulty you have endured, every victory you have claimed, every moment you have risen from the ashes, these are all chapters in a story that began long before you had language for it. Your destiny is not waiting to be given to you. It has been within you since the day the world paused for your arrival, and the time is coming when you will feel it fully, understand it deeply, and step into it boldly. From the moment you drew your first breath, you were not alone. Long before you could speak, long before you understood the world you had entered, an unseen presence took its place by your side. You were marked by protection, not the fragile humankind that falters under pressure, but the ancient, fierce, and vigilant kind that does not sleep, does not hesitate, and does not abandon its post. This protection was not earned, it was assigned. It surrounded you because of who you are, because of what you would one day face, and because of the purpose embedded in your soul. Even in infancy, even without your awareness, forces beyond your understanding recognize something in you worth guarding. The day you were born was not just a moment of celebration, it was an appointment. A watch was set over your life, as though a silent vow had been made, this one will not walk alone. And so you didn't. Even if as a child you felt isolated or misunderstood, even if you faced situations that seemed too heavy for someone your age, you were never unprotected. There were hands around you that could not be seen, strength behind you that could not be measured, and vigilance above you that could not be explained. You may have thought you survived certain moments by chance or luck, but you were guided, shielded, and pulled back from edges you never even saw. There were times in your childhood when you ran into danger without realizing it. Moments when you wandered too far, trusted the wrong person, or stood on the brink of a situation that could have changed everything. Yet something always intervened. Sometimes it was a sudden feeling that made you stop. Sometimes it was an unexpected distraction. Sometimes it was an adult arriving at just the right moment. These interruptions were not coincidences. They were the first signs of the protection you carried. Proof that invisible eyes were always watching, ready to act if the wrong step threatened your path. As you grew older, this protection didn't disappear, it evolved. When you reached ages where physical shielding was no longer enough, the unseen shifted to guarding your heart, your mind, and your spirit. Think back to the moments when you almost gave up, when despair wrapped itself around you so tightly it felt impossible to breathe. Yet somehow through tears or silence or exhaustion, something held you back from falling completely. Something whispered to you, gently or firmly, that you were not done, that you still mattered, that the story wasn't over. That whisper was protection. There were times you walked into relationships, friendships, or environments that should have consumed you. Yet before they could ruin you, something happened. Something that forced distance, ended the connection, or pulled you out. At the time it may have felt like heartbreak or loss. You may have questioned why things fell apart so abruptly. You may have thought you were being punished, but in truth, you were being removed from what could have diminished you. That removal, painful as it was protection wearing the disguise of disappointment. There were nights when darkness weighed heavily on your thoughts, when loneliness or exhaustion made you vulnerable to choices that would have led you down paths of destruction. Yet no matter how deep those nights became, something always anchored you. It might have been a memory, a sudden burst of clarity, the sound of a loved one's voice in your mind, or even an inexplicable urge to hold on just a little longer. These anchors were not random. They were interventions placed deliberately on your timeline, reminders that you were not walking without a guardian. Your protection was not always gentle. There were moments when life shook violently around you, moments when you were forced out of places you thought you needed, separated from people you thought you couldn't live without, or pushed into situations that made you uncomfortable. Understand this now. Protection does not always feel like comfort. Sometimes it feels like chaos. Sometimes it feels like loss. Sometimes it feels like everything is falling apart. But in truth, it is redirecting you away from danger you could not see, even if you felt safe where you were. You have survived things that would have crushed others. There were storms that were not meant to be weathered alone, yet you came through them. There were betrayals that could have hardened your heart permanently, yet you healed. There were moments of confusion where you could have been lost, yet you found clarity. These victories were not accidental. They were the result of a presence that has followed you since the moment of your birth, an unwavering shield keeping you close to the path meant for you. There have been days when you questioned why you were still here. Days when life felt too heavy, the future too distant, and hope too faint. Yet you woke up again and again and again. Your survival was not an accident. It was protection, firm, unyielding, insistent, that refused to let you fall when the world felt unbearable. You were held up when you could not hold yourself. You were guided when you could not see the way. You were carried when you could not walk forward. You may wonder why you needed such fierce protection. The answer is simple: because the path you walk is not ordinary. Souls with purpose attract challenges, but they also attract guardians. The moment you were born, your significance was recognized by forces beyond this world. They understood what you would one day face, the weight you would carry, the people you would influence, and the strength you would embody. They saw every trial your future held and refused to let you face those trials without reinforcement. The protection surrounding you has allowed you to grow into someone resilient, intuitive, and spiritually aware. It has shaped your instincts, sharpened your inner voice, and awakened your ability to sense danger or deception before it reveals itself. These abilities are not random talents. They are extensions of the shield you were born with. You have been guided into wisdom that many never reach, because you were never meant to live blindly. Even now, the protection around you remains active. It has matured with you. It understands the battles you face today and the ones you will face tomorrow. It knows when to step in and when to let you strengthen your own spirit. It recognizes your potential, even on days when you doubt it yourself. It stands guard in silence, ready to intervene in ways you may never see or understand. You walk through life surrounded by watchfulness, guarded not because you are weak, but because you are vital. You were marked from your first breath, not for fear, but for safeguarding. Not because you were fragile, but because you were significant, and the protection that began the day you were born has never left you, not even for a moment. From the earliest chapters of your life, the world placed obstacles before you that did not seem to match your age or your strength. You carried burdens that others never had to face, learned lessons without a teacher, survived storms without shelter, and kept moving even when you felt broken. At times it seemed cruel. At times it seemed unfair. You may have wondered why your journey was filled with hardships while others walked paths that appeared smooth. But what you did not know, what you could not have known, is that your struggles were not punishments. They were preparation. Every challenge that clung to you was shaping you, refining you, sharpening you into someone capable of carrying the weight of your purpose. There are people who live ordinary lives because they are meant for ordinary destinations. Their struggles are small because their influence will be small. but souls like yours do not receive such gentle paths. Greatness demands resilience, purpose demands strength, and strength is formed not in comfort, but in adversity. You were chosen for a path that required depth, courage, and endurance. And so life began forging those qualities in you long before you understood why. Think back to the moments that nearly broke you, the ones you rarely speak of, the ones you carry quietly in the chambers of your memory. Those experiences did not come to destroy you, though they felt unbearable. They came to reveal what you were made of. They came to tear away illusions, to expose what was real, to force growth that comfort would never have produced. They came to deepen your spirit so that one day you could withstand what others could not. The struggles you faced taught you endurance, not the shallow kind that simply holds on for a moment, but the kind that allows you to walk through fire without losing your identity. You learned how to keep going when you were tired, how to stand when everything inside you fell apart, how to rebuild your life from the fragments of disappointment. These were not punishments, they were training. You learned patience, not because life was slow, but because you were forced to wait for things others received easily. You learned compassion because you knew what pain felt like. You learned discernment because betrayal taught you not to trust blindly. You learned independence because you had no choice but to become strong on your own. You learned wisdom because naivete was stripped away through experience. Every struggle carved something into your character that comfort could never have created. There were seasons when you felt like you were walking through darkness, searching for answers that never came. But even in those moments, something inside you kept pushing forward. That inner voice, that quiet strength, that ability to rise despite exhaustion, these are signs of someone being prepared for something significant. People who are meant to shake the world are not given easy roads. Their spirits must be fortified, their vision sharpened, their hearts purified through pressure. You were being shaped, not sentenced. There were moments when you felt abandoned, moments when no one understood what you were going through, moments when you cried without knowing how to make the pain stop, and yet, each time, you rose, you continued, you endured. That endurance became part of your essence, a quiet fire within you that refuses to be extinguished. Others may see your strength today and admire it, but they do not know the cost. They do not know the nights you stood alone. They do not know the internal battles you had to fight without witnesses. But those moments were not wasted. They were building the foundation of who you would become. Your struggles also taught you to see beyond the surface. Because you have suffered, you can sense the silent suffering of others. Because your heart has been broken, you understand how fragile the human spirit can be. Because you have been disappointed, manipulated, or betrayed, you have learned how to read people, how to protect yourself, and how to recognize truth when others cannot. These abilities are not flaws. They are skills you earned through hardship. They are tools that will serve you in the future that awaits you. When life pushed you harder than seemed reasonable, It was because you were being prepared for moments when others would depend on your strength. Your resilience will one day become someone else's anchor. Your wisdom will guide others through their storms. Your experience will illuminate paths for those who are lost. None of this would be possible without the struggle that refined you. You have been shaped into someone who does not collapse easily, someone who does not surrender at the first sign of difficulty, someone who can face darkness without losing their light. This is not accidental. This is not punishment. This is preparation. There were times when you may have felt like life was testing you repeatedly, too harshly, too often, but what you perceived as tests were actually transformations. Each challenge unlocked another layer of potential within you, another reserve of strength you didn't know you had. You may not have seen it happening in the moment, but looking back, you can recognize how each difficulty expanded your capacity. If you had not been challenged, you would not have grown. If you had not been hurt, you would not have learned the truth about yourself and others. If you had not been pushed, you would not have discovered what you were capable of. You are who you are today, not because life was kind, but because life was purposeful. Your struggles have also taught you independence of spirit. You learn to rely on your intuition, your judgment, your inner compass. You learned how to stand firmly on your own feet, how to create your own path when none was offered, how to become the kind of person who can lead rather than follow. This independence is part of your destiny. The path ahead requires someone who does not crumble under pressure, someone who has been strengthened by experience, someone who knows how to navigate both light and darkness. You are being prepared because your future demands a fortified soul. Even when you doubted yourself, even when you questioned your worth, your strength was being built in silence. You were never being crushed, you were being formed. Every hardship was bending you into shape, molding you into the version of yourself you were always meant to become. Your struggles were not evidence that life was against you. They were signs that life was investing in you, preparing you, refining you, getting you ready for moments that will require the very strength you earned through suffering. And now, whether you realize it or not, you are stronger than you have ever been, stronger than you give yourself credit for, stronger in ways you will not fully understand until the moment your purpose calls for everything you have learned. Your struggles were preparation, every single one of them. And soon you will see why they were necessary. What comes next in your life is not something small, random, or accidental. It is not a passing phase or a moment that will slip quietly into the background. What approaches is a revealing, a lifting of the veil, a clearing of the fog, a moment when the truth of who you are and why you have endured so much will begin to take shape. This chapter is not about becoming someone new. It is about realizing the person you were always meant to be, the person life has been sculpting with every trial, every victory, and every quiet moment in between. You are on the edge of discovery, and the world around you is shifting to match the magnitude of what's awakening within you. For so long, You may have felt as though you were walking without clarity, guided by instincts you didn't fully understand. You followed paths that didn't always make sense. You listened to a pull inside you that had no name. You felt restless, unsettled, as though something within you was waiting, gathering strength, preparing for a moment it recognized even when you didn't. That moment is drawing closer. The confusion you once felt will begin to make sense. The things that didn't work out, the people who left, the doors that closed, the intense shifts that forced you out of old situations. All of these were pieces of a larger design preparing you for the unveiling of your purpose. When your true purpose begins to reveal itself, it doesn't come as a loud announcement. It comes through alignment. Situations fall away that no longer fit the person you're becoming. Conversations arise that offer clarity you didn't know you needed. Opportunities appear that match your inner growth. You begin to notice patterns, synchronicities, instincts, sudden insights that guide you with a precision that would have startled your younger self. You start to realize that the storm you walked through wasn't meant to end you. It was meant to reshape you so that what comes next could recognize you. And it will. Your purpose has been waiting for you to grow into it. This next phase of your life will not require you to pretend, shrink, or hide. It will require your authentic strength, your real voice, your real gifts, your real presence. All the qualities you once thought were flaws will reveal themselves as essential parts of your design. Your sensitivity, your intuition, your resilience, your depth of emotion, your ability to see beneath the surface. These traits were placed within you because you would need them. Not to survive but to rise. Not to endure but to lead. What comes next will call upon every part of you that was shaped by struggle. There is a reason you have always felt different. A reason you have sensed an invisible current moving beneath the events of your life. A reason that, despite setbacks, something inside you refused to give up. You are not fighting for survival. You are fighting for the moment you would finally step into alignment with who you were meant to be. Your purpose has been growing in the background, and now the world around you is beginning to shift so you can see it clearly. Be ready, because what comes next will require courage, not the loud, dramatic kind, but the steady kind, the kind that allows you to step forward even when the future is unknown, the kind that trusts the inner pull that has guided you since childhood. The kind that knows deep down that everything you have survived proves you are ready for whatever lies ahead. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward despite it. And you have been practicing that for years, even on days when you didn't realize it. As your purpose reveals itself, people around you may begin to see you differently. Some will be drawn to your strength. Some will be inspired by it. But others may grow uncomfortable, not because you are doing something wrong, but because your growth reminds them of their own stagnation. This is normal. When you rise, not everyone will rise with you. What comes next will illuminate your path. but it will also illuminate the intentions of those around you. This clarity is not meant to hurt you. It is meant to protect you. When you walk into your purpose, you cannot afford to carry those who were never meant to travel with you. There is a shift coming, slow but steady, like dawn breaking across a dark landscape. You may already feel it, a sense that something is about to change, a whisper running through your spirit, an inner readiness you can't explain. It feels like standing on a threshold, like inhaling before speaking a truth that has been waiting on your tongue for years. This sensation is not your imagination. It is recognition. Your destiny is moving toward you, and you are moving toward it. Be ready for new insight, new connections, new strength. Be ready to make choices that once scared you. Be ready to leave behind old identities that no longer reflect who you are becoming. Be ready to see yourself clearly, perhaps for the first time. What comes next is not a test, it is a revelation. You are entering a season where the pieces come together, where your purpose rises to the surface, where your soul feels understood, even by you. This revelation will not demand perfection. It will demand authenticity. It will ask you to stop dimming your light, to stop apologizing for your depth, to stop holding back your voice. You were not shaped by struggle just to remain small. You were not protected just to hide. You were not refined just to blend in. Everything you have endured has prepared you for a moment when your presence will matter in ways you cannot yet imagine. And when it arrives, you will recognize it instantly. It will feel like relief, like resonance, like remembering something you didn't know you had forgotten. It will feel like stepping into a space that fits you perfectly. It will feel like home. What comes next will reveal your purpose, not because you were finally ready, but because you've always been ready. You just needed to grow into the version of yourself capable of seeing it. Be ready. Your next chapter is not waiting to test you. It is waiting to welcome you.